Hi everyone, my name is Ashley. I am one of the commissioners for the LGBTQ Commission. I use she and they pronouns, and I'm thrilled to see you all here today, and especially excited to usher in another Pride Month here in the Emerald City. Thank you all for being here today. As we see more and more legislation attacking our basic dignities and human rights, it's so critical that we're able to live loud and proud and be an example to future generations that inclusion and acceptance are indeed impossible within our political systems. It's especially a monumental year for us as we celebrate 50 years of Pride in Seattle. Yes, please clap. This city has consistently been a refuge for so many queer people who still to this day are not safe in many places around our country and around the world. Thank you all for being a part of this monumental movement here today. I'd like to start us off with a land acknowledgement written by Rita Gray. We would like to acknowledge that we are on the ancestral lands and waters of the Coast Salish and Duwamish people and their descendants, including but not limited to the federally recognized Muckleshoot Indian tribe and the federally recognized Suquamish tribe. They are the original, present, and future stewards of these lands and waters. We raise our hands and honor them with gratitude. We also acknowledge the Treaty of Point Elliott and the Medicine Creek Treaty and understand the importance of these treaties as they preserve and protect Indigenous people and their sacred homelands. Thank you. We have a short program planned today with many esteemed speakers, including Mayor Bruce Harrell, LGBTQ Commissioners Jeremy Erdman and Stephen Prey, the Executive Directors of queer-focused nonprofits Entre Hermanos and Queer Power Alliance, as well as City Council members Cathy Moore and Joy Hollingsworth. There will also be a post-event reception in the Bertha Landis Night Room inside City Hall. We hope you'll join us. Our first speaker today is Mayor Bruce Harrell. Bruce Harrell was born and raised in Seattle, worked as an attorney before serving on City Council, and is currently Seattle's mayor. Seattle's first Asian American, first biracial, and second Black mayor. Bruce served 3 terms on City Council, where he was a leader in racial equity, public safety reform, and economic and educational opportunity. In 2021, Bruce was elected mayor of Seattle on a commitment to address the homelessness crisis, to ensure public safety for all, and to ensure trust, hope, and unity in local government and civic life. Please welcome Mayor Bruce Harrell.
Thank you, Ashley. You're using this one here, right? I told Ashley she has to work on her karaoke game. Karaoke, you can move around a little bit. You got something like this. I'm so happy. This is our 50th anniversary of Seattle Pride. I'm going to try to stay on script, but I have to tell a quick story. A few months ago, I was conversing with several mayors of major cities. And of course, we commiserate, what are your biggest challenges? And we're talking about this and that and this and that. But I asked them a different question. I said, what do you take most pride in your city? As Ashley described, I was just born about 8 blocks from here, and I said a few things. I talked about our commitment to climate change and our air and water. I talked about our commitment to education and investing in our babies. But I said our commitment to the LGBTQ plus community, the resilience, the strength, the beauty, that this is something that our entire city takes pride in. And when I say that, I have to remind everyone that can hear my voice that last year, over 500 anti-LGBTQ plus bills were introduced in state legislatures across the United States. And we have to recognize that we are in the middle of the struggle. We're not at the end of the struggle. A beautiful quote was provided to me, and those that prepare remarks for me usually get mad at me because I go off script. But I wanted to share a quote from Marsha Johnson, who many of you know as an LGBTQ plus liberation activist, one of the most prominent figures in the Stonewall Uprising in 1969. Marsha said, quote, "How many years has it taken people to realize that we are all brothers and sisters and human beings in the human race? We struggle and to make sure that the voices are heard." And let me say to the leaders that I'm seeing right in front of me right now, the leaders, you are resilient, you are beautiful, you are beyond measure in terms of helping us uplift this entire country with the struggle. I want to recognize Council members, Council President Sarah Nelson, Council members Rob Saka, Maritza Rivera. I want to recognize, we're going to have speakers here, Councilmember Joy Hollingsworth, Councilmember Cathy Moore. But these are what we call seasoned leaders. I'm seasoned. Trailblazers, Councilmember Sherry Harris, let's give her a round right now. Councilmember Tom Rasmussen, give Tom. They were fighting the fight as seasoned leaders do, and they still come out on this day to celebrate what we're trying to do. The year 2024 marks 50 years of Seattle Pride, a powerful opportunity to celebrate the historic gains. The first Pride in Seattle was a celebration with only about 200 people in Occidental Park, just a couple of blocks away from where we are here. The first recognition of Gay Pride Week was in 1977 by Mayor Wes Ullman, and the Seattle Pride Parade that year attracted around 2,000 attendees. Now we know we're going to turn it out this year, so 2,000 is a drop in the bucket. But as we celebrate this historic milestone, we know that Pride is more than a parade, it's more than a concert. It's a heck of a lot of fun, but it's even more than fun. It is a chance to uplift and strengthen, and once again, let the world know that here in Seattle, we love, we embrace, we empower our LGBTQ plus community. And as mayor, and you all are good at making sure we're accountable, by the way, we embrace it because we have to champion this effort with you. You put your lives, your hearts, your resources on the line to make sure your voices are heard. And that is why we take so much pride in raising a flag like this. I close by saying this, and I say this as someone that was called a lot of names, a lot of hurtful names in my life. You see a person that seems pretty empowered, but you didn't know the little boy that would go crying home to a little couple that didn't go to college, and I look at mom and dad and says, well, why are they treating me this way? I just want to love like everyone else. The pain, we find strength and resilience in our pain often. So when we talk about pride, it's a pride of what we've overcome as a community. And having said that, with my buzzkill analogy, I'm going to go back to my happy face and say that we love you. And we're proud, we're prideful, and we're proud today. And with that, we're going to hear Councilmember Cathy Moore keep our vibe going. Councilmember Cathy Moore.
Thank you very much, Mayor. It's really hard to follow those comments and that energy, but I'll do my best. So I am so excited to be here today to join in the celebration of Pride Month and the raising of the Pride flag here. As chair of the Seattle Human Rights Commission, it is my pleasure to be here, and I just feel so grateful that we have a commission of the LGBT Commission in Seattle. They do amazing work. They provide great direction to us on the council, and I think it's an affirmation of the value and support that we put in our LGBT community. Just noting the history that, in the 1900s, Pioneer Square was the hub for gay bars, so we have a long history here. In the 70s, we saw the creation of more advocacy groups and news outlets, which led to the legislative milestones in 1973 of the Seattle ban on discrimination in employment based on sexual orientation. In 1974, Seattle had its first official Gay Pride Week. And in 1991, Sherry Harris became the first self-identified lesbian to be elected to the Seattle City Council. And in 2002, Tom Rasmussen became the first self-identified gay man to be elected to the Seattle City Council. And now, fast forward to 2024, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Seattle's official Pride celebration, and our very own Seattle Councilmember Joy Hollingsworth. So I want to thank everyone and the mayor for putting on this event, and I really, truly am honored to be part of such a momentous occasion. 50 years of celebrating the creativity, the art, the self-affirmation, the equality, and the joy of the queer community. In a society that frequently demonizes anyone and anything different, it is vital that Seattle continues to speak loudly and proudly that we love and celebrate and will always stand with our queer community. Thank you very much. My pleasure to turn it over to Councilmember Joy Hollingsworth.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Sorry, Councilmember Moore. My bad. I see a second flag there. Is that Newport City flag that we can raise? No? Okay. Too soon? I'm sorry. Okay. Only Mayor got that joke, but we can raise theirs too, okay? We know what's going on over there. Thank you, Councilmember Moore. We on the second floor affectionately call Councilmember Moore the judge. And so if this is my favorite nickname for her, the judge. Whenever you see her, call her the judge. I'd also like to recognize the mayor and his administration. They have been a great partner to work with, especially in our office when it comes to civil rights, LGBTQIA+ rights, and some ideas that we have been trying to uplift with the community. They've always been accessible and available, so I just want to thank you, give you a shout out, Mayor. You can clap for that. clap for the mayor for being supportive. Also like to recognize, I know you all have gotten a shout out, but thank you for accepting our invite. Ms. Sherry Harris, phenomenal person, and then also Mr. Tom Rasmussen, former city council members who blazed the path for people like me to be able to be in this position. Thank you all for coming. I'd also like to thank, the mayor already did, but Council President Nelson for being here, Councilmember Rivera, Councilmember Wu, and also Councilmember Saka. Did I miss anyone else? Thank you all for being here as well. Also to celebrate this occasion and thank you for all your leadership and your work. I'd like to thank Deontay Damper. I know we've been having stuff going on in the Central District, and you've been at the forefront of that and helping with the community and youth. Just want to thank you and recognize you for that. Thank you. Also, my good friend, Andrew Oshiofu. Andrew and I ran for the same seat against each other, but we became really great friends on the campaign trail, and then also all the work that he's done for AIDS advocacy and in the community. Just thank you for everything. Thank you, Andrew. I also ran against Shobit. He's right there as well. Shobit, my guy. Thank you, my friend. I don't want you to get mad at me. Also want to thank Miss Charmaine Sly. She was a mentor of mine. Phenomenal, just super helpful, very active in the gay community, and just thank you for being here as well. As you see, we are, clap, please, thank you. 50 years of pride, 50 years of struggle, celebration, community, connection, and love. This 50 years is special, and I think what we have recognized this 50 years, because we have seasoned veterans, we have young people, old people, new people. It's a year of, and I said it during Black History Month, know your history, reveal your potential greatness. And I think we have to start recognizing the history that we came from, and all the people that lift us up to be in this moment right now. And in 2012, Seattle celebrated the legalization of same-sex marriage. And 2012 was special. We also legalized cannabis, and Obama was reelected. So it was like Capitol Hill, whoever was on Capitol Hill, it was popping. And I remember that moment of seeing all the joy on people's faces, feeling, hey, I can be able to share my love with my partner. I can be able to be married, having that ring on my finger. I can be able to be connected. And that is incredibly important. And when I'm meeting some of you, and I said this at a council briefing, I'm meeting a ton of people. When I'm meeting people that just moved here, and they say, Joy, I moved here from Texas. I moved here from Florida. I moved here from the South or wherever it is. And this is the first time in this city where I feel seen. I feel special. I feel connected. I feel like I can just be myself. I can't begin to tell you how much that means to me, that we can be that city of inclusivity, of connection, of family, building a home. I think that's incredible. And so we have a proclamation, all 9 council members signed it, and the mayor, and love to present this to Jeremy Erdman. Did I say that right?
Erdman.
Oh my gosh, Erdman, I can't read. I'm sorry. Jeremy Erdman, the Pride Proclamation, celebrating 50 years, and I know Jeremy's gonna read this because he's a better reader than I am. And we just wanna thank you for your service, thank you for your connection and the commission for everything. And just know, as your council member, that is representing the gay community, I don't take that lightly. I take that with very seriousness, with passion, and just know that I'm always accessible to you all. I will continue to fight for our community and make sure that I really, really uplift our community as well. So thank you, love y'all. And the next person I'm introducing is Jeremy, thank you. Erdman.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Hollingsworth. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, the rest of City Council. Thank you, Mayor Harrell. Thank you to the rest of the commissioners for being in attendance as well. And of course, thank you to our community leaders, Edgar Longoria and Taylor Farley, who you all will hear from after this. It's a great honor to be able to read the proclamation on the 50th anniversary of Seattle's Pride celebration. And without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. So, whereas City Council is strengthened by the diversity of our communities, ensuring a city where everyone's identity and right to live freely as their authentic selves are valued, respected, and celebrated. And whereas Seattle is home to some of the nation's most active individuals and organizations working to ensure the full and equal recognition and protection of the fundamental rights and liberties of transgender, lesbian, bisexual, gay, two-spirit, non-binary, genderqueer individuals and their families. And whereas the two-spirit Seattle LGBTQIA+ communities in Seattle are an integral and vibrant part of the academic, economic, artistic, and social spheres of Seattle. And whereas the month of June was designated as Pride Month to commemorate the Stonewall riots, a series of demonstrations led by Black and brown trans women occurring in June 1969, and generally recognized as the catalyst of the U.S. Two-Spirit LGBTQIA+ civil rights movement. And whereas Seattle is celebrating the 50th anniversary of our city's first lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer celebration, an iconic event vital in our unified effort to forge a more open and just society. And whereas during Pride Month and every month, the city of Seattle stands with the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA+ community in celebration of the progress we have made in the fight for justice, inclusion, and equity, while reaffirming our commitment to support the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA+ rights. And whereas our One Seattle vision for a thriving, innovative, and inclusive city for all neighbors and residents, we stand firm in the belief that love is love. And whereas the city of Seattle celebrates LGBTQ Pride Month, encouraging our residents and neighbors to celebrate the progress within our culture toward justice, equality, and full recognition for Two-Spirit LGBTQIA+ persons, and join in the fight toward an equitable future free from prejudice and discrimination everywhere. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Seattle City Council do hereby proclaim June 2024 to be LGBTQ Pride Month. Again, thank you all for being here, and I am now going to pass the mic to Edgar Longoria.
Thank you, Jeremy. All right, let's get this going. Good morning, buenos días, mi gente. Thank you all who have gathered here to honor Pride Month, City Council members, Mayor Bruce Harrell, City of Seattle staff, and community members. Happy Pride Month. Thank you, Seattle LGBTQ Commission, for the invitation. It is an honor to speak on behalf of my organization, Entre Hermanos. I am Edgar Longoria, he, him pronouns, queer Latino social worker, first-generation immigrant, and an advocate for our highest good. I have the privilege of serving Entre Hermanos as executive director. Entre Hermanos is a Seattle LGBTQ nonprofit focused on the health and well-being of the Latino queer community for 33 years and counting. I invite you to collaborate with me in protecting, resourcing, and uplifting LGBTQ organizations like Entre Hermanos. We need your support to continue the important work of service, fighting against hate and harmful narratives with resources that uplift the most vulnerable in our communities. Our celebration of Pride Month is a reminder that pride is rooted in our resistance against state violence. This year alone, across this country, legislatures proposed some 515 anti-LGBTQ bills, from restricting gender-affirming care to drag bans to banning books that represent us, our stories, and our history. Pride is a constant fight for our liberation, our right to exist fully as our authentic selves, free from political hate and demonization of our community. We celebrate Pride, our resistance to oppression. The fact that we are here as survivors, that have found our light, our self-identity, and our chosen family and friends. And for many of us, we not only survived into elders in our community, but we found our love and our purpose and a safe place to call home. And that is something to celebrate. Today, we celebrate Pride Month. We are grateful to live in a sanctuary city that upholds humanity's values. In a globalized world, what we do here inspires across the world. Let's continue being bold for LGBTQ people everywhere. The city of Seattle, my home, our citizens, let's not sit on the opportunity to create a home for our trans and queer young people and showcase the city's queerness with the world to see. Once again, our community is under attack. Why? Are we not the medicine? Are we not here representing beautiful and worthy values? We are the medicine. We who come from our intersections of suffering, we are the medicine for each other because our lives are based in love, freedom, and finding our joy. Queer folk are the medicine the world needs. And while we resist against those that use their religion as an excuse to limit our self-expression, we celebrate and dance and hug each other as we march towards our collective liberation. Pride is our love letter to our ancestors who led the way. Pride is our community gathered. Pride is our expression of joy. Pride is our power. On behalf of Entre Hermanos and the entire LGBTQIA community, thank you, City of Seattle. Thank you for upholding your citizens and uplifting our diversity and brilliance. Thank you, everyone, for being present here today. Let's continue to love each other. Let's continue to show up for each other. And let's continue to heal each other until we heal the world together. Thank you, everyone. I now invite our next speaker, Taylor Farley.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. Thank you to the City of Seattle. Thank you to the LGBTQ Commission for allowing me to be here. I am honored. I am Taylor Farley. I use they, them, and I am the Executive Director of Queer Power Alliance. Queer Power Alliance's mission is to build collective power for LGBTQ liberation. We are committed to building a world where LGBTQ individuals can thrive with dignity, respect, and equity. QPA does this work through advocacy, education, and organizing. We engage in policy advocacy to influence legislative changes that promote the well-being and the rights of the LGBTQIA+ community. We provide educational resources to inform and empower the LGBTQ individuals about their rights and the tools available to advocate for themselves. And we build networks and coalitions Y'all are part of that. Within the LGBTQI plus communities and other marginalized groups to strengthen collective power. As we heard, today is the year we start with the 50th anniversary in Seattle celebrating LGBTQIA plus Pride. The journey of this milestone has been grueling and often hostile. I get emotional on this. We've reluctantly fought for our right to be recognized and heard by community leaders and legislators. Now, more than ever, we must unite our voices and stay vigilant. We are fortunate to have incredible LGBTQ plus, Black, and trans-led organizations here in Seattle and across Washington State, working tirelessly for the queer, trans, and Black trans liberation. June is a time to celebrate the LGBTQIA plus community and our liberation. Let us remember that Marsha P. Johnson sparked the movement. And we must continue to fight for the Black trans women and trans youth following the path she set. It is imperative that we work together to combat systems of oppression and harmful initiatives like Initiative 2081, the Parent Bill of Rights. We cannot allow the right-wing conservatives to undermine our efforts and target LGBTQIA plus youth, especially trans and non-binary youth. We stand in solidarity with communities of color, immigrants, people with disabilities, elders, and youth for a better future for the LGBTQIA plus community, because we are part of that community. When leaders close down our borders, trans women and children die. When cities criminalize homelessness, LGBTQ youth die. When funds are diverted from the LGBTQIA plus, Black, brown, and indigenous organizations are instead provided more policing, Black, brown, and indigenous, LGBTQ, and Black trans people die. We will continue to fight until the lives of all LGBTQ, Black trans women, trans youth, and our Black, brown, and indigenous friends and family are no longer in harm's way. June is a time, thank you. June is a time to remember that we have what we have accomplished. We celebrate with our allies, but it is not to be forgotten that all the other months, it is us who are fighting for our right to live and thrive. Our strength lies in unity as we work together, not in silos. We build power, collective power, when we work together and celebrate together. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
All right, it's time for what we've all come here for. We're going to join and raise the flag. All right, so we are going to take turns raising this together. So anyone who is interested, please kind of try and make your way over here. We're going to start with our LGBTQ commissioners and the speakers here today, and we're each going to take a couple of cranks at the flag until it gets all the way to the top. It'll make its way inch by inch, so we definitely need as much support as we can. All right, let's get to it.
You took the rabbit ride.
All right.
You have both hands. Yeah. LGBTQ Pride. Yes, and it is hot. Okay. And I'm going to start. Okay, what's the one?
Is that it?
Hey.
My name is Stephen Prey, and I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the Seattle LGBTQ Commission. First, I want to thank all the speakers before me, from our community partners, the mayor, city council, and to my fellow commissioners. Your words and showing up today means a lot to us. Second, I want to start by recognizing some of the history that brings us here for Pride Month. In June of 1970, the first Pride parades were held in New York, LA, and Chicago.
Right.
This was a year after the Stonewall Uprisings and why we celebrate Pride during the month of June. The Stonewall Uprising was an uprising of LGBTQ protesters against the police which spanned over 6 days. And make no mistake, the progress made over the generations did not come by asking nicely, begging for acceptance, or by changing the hearts and minds of moderates among us. Progress was made because queer people, including many trans women of color, demanded it. And now we are here celebrating a historic 50 years of Pride in Seattle. The good news is we have a lot to celebrate today in the city of Seattle. After all, this is Pride, so centering joy is something we're going to do all month long. And Seattle and the state of Washington have a lot to be proud of this month. Our city and our state have been at the forefront of passing laws protecting LGBTQ people from discrimination in places of employment, housing, and other places of public accommodation. Washington State was one of the first nations in the country to pass marriage equality, and even more impressively, by a vote of the people. In addition, our city has elected openly gay and lesbian mayors and city council members, and a special shout out to Councilmember Hollingsworth representing the 3rd District. That's where Joy went. We are so proud to have you on council, and you represent our community tremendously. And our city has bucked the national trend of relentless political attacks on the most vulnerable within our community, our transgender siblings, who we must never stop fighting for. If we are not centering the needs of transgender people this month, then we are not doing Pride right. And while there is much to celebrate, we must not forget the fight for equality and liberation is far from over. People often think Seattle and Washington are much more progressive than they really are. Just 2 weeks ago, the city of Yakima rejected a proposed proclamation declaring June as Pride Month by a vote of 5-2. And this disappointing symbolic vote doesn't even come close to what many of our LGBTQ siblings across the country are facing in terms of hateful, discriminatory legislation. Speaking of Yakima, let's talk about rural Washingtonians and how many LGBTQ people in those communities come to Seattle. And then let's talk about one of the reasons we see such a disproportionate number of our LGBTQ neighbors who are living outside in this city. We must, yes, must do better than allowing more and more of our neighbors to become houseless and then trying to address the problem through ineffective sweeps. Instead, we need paths to accessible, affordable, and importantly, affirming housing. And we need bold politicians with bold visions to afford this and challenge the status quo in this city. When I was a child, my mom, who's back there somewhere, she told me, Stephen, where there is a will, there is a way. And that's why I believe that we will solve the unaffordable housing in our city, because there's a lot of people up here who have the will to change that. Pride is more than just a parade or hanging rainbows, flags in the window. Pride is a political statement, and one about challenging the political establishment. Capitol Hill is known for its vibrant LGBTQ community and its history as the queer epicenter of our city. But as of almost 4 years ago, exactly, that history changed. We saw an inspirational uprising in Capitol Hill in 2020 in response to the murder of George Floyd, where thousands of people demanded that we no longer ignore the blatant systemic racism plaguing our nation and our city. One of the results of those protests was that the city committed to using the participatory budget process for a very small portion of our city's budget. I would be remiss to forget to remind everyone, especially our city council, that as budget season is upon us, we must not turn back the promises that were made to our communities who fought for and were promised a participatory budgeting process. I can say, without the slightest bit of hesitation, that every single member of the Seattle LGBTQ Commission plans to hold our city to those commitments. I'm a proud member of this community and this city. Despite our flaws, Seattle is a great city, one of the greatest in the world, and I truly mean that. Seattle always has and always will be an example of what happens when community comes together to create excellence. I want to conclude by saying our commission looks forward to working with our city officials to address issues near and dear to the LGBTQ community, Public policy around housing, public safety, and healthcare will never be adequate for our community unless we have a seat at the table. There is no easy solution to solving the problems facing our city, but we are a resilient community, and there is no obstacle that we cannot overcome. We will take a page from our elders' book and push by whatever means necessary to effectuate the changes we need. Again, I want to thank everyone here today and also invite folks up to the Bertha Knight Landis room inside for a couple minutes to join us for some lunch. We have some delicious tamales, thanks to Free Lard Tamales, a local queer and Mexican-owned business. And thanks to the sponsorship from Office of Economic Development. And what better way to kick off some Pride festivities than by hanging out and enjoying some good food and company. So thanks, happy Pride.